Please help me welcome to the stage Natasha.
Good morning. It's a privilege to be here with you today. Wow, if you had told me 10 years ago that I'd be traveling the world doing what I love and speaking at amazing conferences like this one, I would have told you you were crazy. And not because I didn't believe it somehow, but I was faced with a lot of skepticism. I grew up rebellious. Some might even say reckless. And if you were rebellious too, you know it's because we have a lot to say. In fact, there is so much we want to say, we just don't know what it is. And I'm thankful to have found my passion early on, kept through it despite the skepticism. I love theater and I am fascinated with technology. I want to create experiences that catapult you into outer mental orbit. What can I say? I'm an astronaut in the closet. But in fact, what's most interesting for me about theater, what gets me most passionate about it, is the theater that doesn't exist yet. Because it's the exploration, the questions, the moments of discovery that keep me on my toes. We live in insanely interesting times, don't we? And I'm not even talking about politics. Let's just not go there. I'm talking about the interesting things, right? Today, scientists have created a physical model of a brain that can educate itself. Robots can learn from watching YouTube videos. We can already order self-driving vehicles in Pittsburgh and are promised flying cars in the next 10 years. Sign me up. The accelerated pace of change is causing a lot of scientific breakthroughs and human turbulence, right? Half of current jobs today are projected to be automated in the next 20 years. We don't really know what to make of this because we don't know what to do with this. What will we ask of technology once it frees us from the redundant tasks we've been indoctrinated to do for over a century? What will I ask of an artificial intelligence system once it can choreograph for me, design on the go, or rewrite a show at a click time? So we have reasons to be anxious about technology. But the truth and the irony is that we've been and still are the robots of an industrial age on the brink of a massive existential crisis, facing the deepest philosophical questions ever at the dawn of a new age. But here's the good news. and Sergio, our host, talked a little bit about it. According to the World Economic Forum, the top 3 skills required by 2020 will be complex problem solving, critical thinking, and creativity. Skills that will require humans to abstract, project, interpret, imagine. I believe we have an amazing opportunity here to snap out of our machine state and reclaim our creative intelligence. Picasso said, "All children are artists. The problem is remaining an artist as we grow up." I love to exercise the theater of my mind and envision future possibilities, because the world is a dynamic, connected, interactive stage, right? With 1 billion sensors and 100 trillion sensors and 100 billion connected devices, objects will develop personalities and talk to one another. Your door will anticipate your departure, miss you while you're gone, talk to the cocktail maker, and greet you accordingly. We'll wake up, step in our Shazam shower, hum a tune, and the music will accompany us organically. We'll be recording artists in the bathroom. Or imagine summoning the New York Philharmonic Orchestra on demand. A flock of musical drones land on your balcony playing Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. And when new realities start to superimpose themselves onto our own, when we begin to interact with the world's data, when the projected begins to affect the inanimate because the inanimate is now alive, a whole new metaverse of possibility arises. The future that I envision is inevitably playful. But in the face of hunger, poverty, inequalities, disasters, corruptions, fake news, can I justify playing? I mean, I'm in the midst of my own existential crisis, re-questioning my purpose and passion, because as theater, as magical as theater is to me, is it still relevant? Or sustainable? One of the biggest problems I have and that I experience often is the waste of time, money, talent, sweat equity poured into productions that may live a day, a week, a month, or more if we're lucky and in New York. And if those shows are any good, it will move you, provoke you, affect you. But here you are, gone already, back to your life, your family, your inbox, your duties. All that potential gone. So if we're going to spend all this creative equity, all this talents, money, and time, can we leverage the transformative power of the theatrical experience for good? Can a show transcend its physical space? Can actions taken during a show affect the world outside? I'm currently developing a new production. It's called Billion Billions. I had to think big. It's a roller coaster through time in real time, right? So every performance will be different because the world's data now becomes the environment that performers interact with. We're using mobile technology and real-time data to create a show that responds to world events and where you, the audience, can respond back. So imagine watching a scene that features climate change, right? The wind machines are blowing, the music is peaking, performers flying, real-time statistics have mapped the entire stage. It's cathartic. Beat. Your phone lights up and invites you to donate to an organization tackling that challenge. There you've done it. You took action. It was simple, meaningful, and entertaining. And that is what I'm excited about, bridging the best of showmanship, technology, and social impact. And that's just the beginning, really. The symbiosis of arts and technology will create new form-function equations altogether. When traditional art forms like dance, music, theater, visual arts become multifunctional, and the various functions of technology will find new forms through the arts. Because we are sensorial human beings, we want to experience, we want to play. But what's perhaps more important today is not so much the outcome, what artists do or don't. What's interesting today is the process. Because we are being challenged by a whole new world. And I don't think it's technology. It's our imagination, which we often picture as a light bulb, right, flashing above our heads, a lucky stroke of insight. Eureka! It just happened. No. Imagination is an instrument, like a piano, a keyboard, a computer, that we've been given permission to play and practice. And by practicing it, we become more imaginative. It's about the power to disassociate the linear and literal and allow our minds to create new associations, which triggers new ideas, yes, often incongruous and bizarre and crazy, yet here we are, in a moment of total possibility, suspended into disbelief, driving at 30 billion metaphors per second, because that's how many metaphors our brains can perceive per second. It's like speeding up a stream of consciousness where our minds compute, decompute, recompute combinations in the background, and we just stop judging it. Today we are demanding solutions. And demanding solutions requires identifying the problem and coming up with radical ideas that create positive change. In fact, we are summoning the spirits of innovation. And innovation requires creativity, and creativity is sparked through artistic processes. Instead of demanding solutions, we should curate creative collaborations and look at the arts as one part of the solution. Leverage the artistic processes as a catalyst to better innovate. Because we're neither left-brained or right-brained, we are one-brained. And our one brain thinks through different modalities. Albert Einstein said that the theory of relativity occurred to him by intuition, and that music was the driving force. His discovery was the result of a musical perception. Let's infuse the arts in laboratories, research centers, companies, ideas centers, schools, somewhere between science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and vice versa. There's an amazing woman I just found out about. Her name is Merritt Moore. She's a ballerina and a physicist. And she says that physics makes her a better dancer and dance a better physicist. And that should be more of the norm, because you need the creative brain in the lab to think out new ideas, and you need the analytic brain in the dance studio to figure out your center of mass. There's a method to the madness. It starts by playing senselessly, moving out of our bodies, getting out of our heads, observing and questioning everything, dismantling the systematic, having ideas, experimenting and improvising until we get it right. It starts by never giving in to failure and never giving up to people's skepticism. It means being and thinking out of the ordinary. We don't have a lot of time to wake up, but we all have the creative potential in us to thrive. We are entering a new economy. It's a creative one, and all of us here have the power to input whatever we want in it. The world is being digitalized. New tools are being demonetized and democratized. We have an amazing opportunity here to snap out of our machine state, stop being the robots of the industrial age, and finally be the artist we were always meant to be, through whichever medium it may be. So give yourself permission to be out of the ordinary. Thank you.
I'm going to introduce you to Javier. Javier has a very compelling life experience that he would like to share with all of us here. He's a dancer that knows how to deal with danger. So please, everyone, welcome Javier Aranzales.
Today, I want to share with you all one idea. And I'll share this idea in 3 different ways, because I know things take time to process. Dance, whether it's ballet or hip hop, is transforming lives around the world. The first way I'll share this story is through my story. You were born, when you were born, when you were born. Based on the conditions that we were born into, society had a certain story written for us. A story that would make sense with where we come from. When I was born, society had a story written for me that would make sense. A story that would make sense for the child of a mother who got pregnant with him when she was 15, 1-5. A story that would make sense for the child of immigrants to the US who were forced out of their country, Colombia, because of political violence. A story that would make sense for a child who grew up in a trailer park and whose family used food stamps because we needed help to afford the basics and peanut butter. However, my story turned out a little different than one that would necessarily make sense with where I come from. My parents are not college graduates. However, I'm standing here as a college graduate, as a graduate of Harvard University. My parents' first jobs when we moved to the US were selling roses at stoplights, mowing lawns, washing dishes at an Italian restaurant, cleaning mansions. However, for my first job this year at 23, I was deciding between offers from Google, LinkedIn, Microsoft, and a master's program at the University of Cambridge. Now I think about this, and I know that what allowed me to take control of my story was ballet. You know, this kind. When I was 13, I got this spark, pretty randomly, to dance ballet. Through the help of the internet, I went in there, did a couple searches, and I saw that ballet was out of my family's reach financially. Ballet classes, expensive. Ballet clothes, ballet tights, expensive. That literal thong that men in ballet wear to keep everything in place, yeah, there's no good hand gesture for that. Even those and their lack of fabric, expensive. Ballet was out of my reach until I found, again through the beauty of the internet, a conservatory in South Miami that offered full scholarships to kids from families who couldn't afford ballet classes. This was the Thomas Armour Youth Ballet, and this was where, at the age of 13, I took my first ballet class. This was where, after my dad and I spoke with the director, Miss Ruth Wiesen, for about 10 minutes, she offered me a full scholarship. At the age of 13, I walked into ballet class and took my first ballet class, started dancing just because I wanted to dance. There was no ulterior motive. However, after I kept going to class a little more, I started noticing that I stopped walking into ballet class and I started running into ballet class. Metaphorically, I was running to ballet because ballet became the place where I could run away. Ballet became the place where I could, on one hand, leave everything at the door, outside. On the other hand, ballet became the place where I could bring my struggles in, and I could confront everything that I was dealing with. With each plie, with each tendu, I was able to confront the shame and the anger that I felt. In elementary school, when I was in my physical education class, and I saw my dad on the other side of the gate mowing the lawn, and I turned away because I didn't want my friends to know that that was my father. With each plie, with each tendu, I confronted the shame, the anger that I felt in 7th grade when I was walking down the hallway with two of my best friends, and one of my classmates threw a basketball at my head on purpose. At an age where my classmates were experimenting with drugs and sex, ballet became the high, the passion, the escape that I was searching for. Now, the second way that I'm going to share with you this idea of dance transforming lives is through the Christmas ballet, The Nutcracker. I'm going to give you a little high-level summary. So in the first act, there's a Christmas party. The main character, Clara, gets a Nutcracker doll. She falls asleep. She has a dream that the Nutcracker comes to life, and he battles and defeats the Rat King. In the second act, the Nutcracker is now a prince, and he goes with Clara to the kingdom of the sweets. Now, in the kingdom of the sweets, they are celebrated. You have all these foods that are dancing for them. Chocolate does the Spanish dance, tea does the Chinese dance, and we're gonna overlook the racial assumptions for now. But I'm telling you all of this because 3 months, just 3 months after I took my first ballet class, Miss Ruth Wiesen called me into her office, and she offered me the role of the Nutcracker Prince. Now, this is not the most technically advanced role, but come on, the ballet is named after my role. Now imagine a kid who grew up in a trailer park, whose family used food stamps, who was bullied in school. In this ballet, in the Nutcracker, he transforms into a prince. He battles and defeats something evil. He goes into a palace. He is celebrated in the kingdom of the sweets. Foods dance for him. Now, this was a very powerful experience for me. Ballet taught me to roll my shoulders back, to lift my chin, and that even I, a Latino from a low-income background, even I belonged in the kingdom of the sweets. Now, the third way that I'm going to share this idea of dance transforming lives around the world is through dancing in Miami, in the Philippines, and in Kenya. Dance, for me, throughout high school, was such an impactful experience that I've dedicated the past 5 years to seeing dance education in action around the world. This started in 2012 after graduating from high school here in Miami, where I worked with a program called Ailey Camp Miami that is a fully funded summer dance camp for kids from low-income backgrounds. And through this program here in Miami, I saw how dance was giving these kids a purpose, where staying engaged during the summer usually means being able to have access to summer camps, being able to afford summer classes. This program was giving these kids an activity, getting them off of the streets and into creative places. In 2014, I found myself in Manila, the capital city of the Philippines, where I was teaching hip-hop class to kids. Half of the kids in my class were returning to the streets where they lived after class. In Manila, I was working with homeless children, children who are forced to grow up immediately because of the conditions that they live in, to survive these conditions. However, during my class, I was able to see how dance was allowing them to be kids, was allowing them to be living out their childhoods, was allowing them to forget what was happening out there and just be present as kids in here. Now, this past summer, I found myself in Nairobi, the capital city of Kenya, in a community called Mathare, also known as one of the largest slums in Africa. Let me show you around.
Tutakuwa pale mbele, tutakuwa pale. Hey. Enda, tembea. Hey, kidogo tu.
Now, through this video, we see that there's a lot of struggle. But this is not a community to look down upon, because there are many inspiring things that we can learn from in this community. In the heart of Madare, we have a K-8 school called Valley View Academy, where I worked at for 2 months. And in this school, one of their missions, the part of their vision, is to help transform the negative attitudes that many have towards children living in the slum. And part of how they do that is every Friday, with the help of 2 nonprofits, Anos Africa and One Fine Day, they transform the school into a hub for the arts. In one classroom, you have creative writing, in another you have theater, in another you have choir. But what has gained this school international recognition is that in conditions like we just saw in this video, these kids are having access to ballet, an art form that is seen as elite, an art form that is seen as inaccessible to those in the lowest rung of society. Now, I can tell you all about this program and how amazing it is and how inspirational it really is, or I can show you the effect that dance is having on these kids. Take a look.
Run slowly. 2, 3, 4.
Ballet inaniweka me feel like a superstar. Dance make me to feel very good, and I felt from nobody to somebody. Dance na make nikuwa hata proud kwangu. Najua inaweza nifikisha mahali. Mamangu hakuwa anajua ballet, alikuwa ananiambia nitoke, nikakata. Vile jana niliona akani understand.
That is the pride I have, that these children can get to realize the challenges they are facing and find a solution.
Dance in the form of ballet is transforming lives of the kids in the slums of Nairobi, Kenya. Dance is taking kids around the world from danger to dancer. Dance is saving the lives of kids around the world, including the one standing in front of you today. My token out of poverty, my token out of danger was becoming a dancer. But there are still countless kids out there, millions of kids who are still living in danger. So you know what we have to do. We have to make sure that these kids have access, either start having access or continue having access to dance education, so that they can learn to take control of their stories, so that they can learn that they too, no matter what conditions they come from, they too belong in the kingdom of the sweets. Thank you.
Yes. Javier, I think everybody here wants to give you a hug, so let me give you a hug. Listen, inspiring, congratulations. Overall, because there are people standing, so very moving. Now that you graduated from Harvard and now that you got a job at Microsoft, how are you going to keep on doing, your ballet and keep helping communities? How are you going to combine everything?
Yeah, definitely. So at Microsoft, I'm currently working on education. So I'm still connected to, getting kids. Now my job is sort of bringing technology into the classroom, but they have a huge focus on Africa. I mean, even personally, I am still in contact with my friends who are currently living in Madare, in that community. And I mean, the big dream here really is my high school, New World School of the Arts, where we had academics and we had arts, bringing that model to developing countries around the world, bringing that model to a community like Madare. That's sort of what I'm really working for.
Good.
Yeah.
Do you have a website, a Twitter handle somewhere where people can contact you?
No, I just entered the workforce. I'm just getting into the whole professional thing, but I...
But you must have social media.
Yeah, social media, LinkedIn.
Okay.
I have business cards that I just got that I'm excited about.
You're gonna be
I'll be
walking
here.
around?
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you mine because I want to keep connected with you.
Definitely.
All right.
Thank you so
All right.
much.
Thank you very much, Javier, everybody.